medicine woman and prophetess had foretold the coming of a long iron snake, belching fire and smoke as it slithered from the Indian Ocean and winding its way across the plains and highlands of an unknown destination. As she divulged her prophecy, she said strangers with red wiry hair would come with a snake and they would bring change that not even the British aristocrats who were feuding within the precincts of the House of the Commons could stop it. And that is where the story of the Kenya railways begins. Something that started as a premonition and now dates back to the period between 1891 and 1895, when the raging debates ensued in the British Parliament over the necessity of constructing a railway line through a country that was largely owned by Maasai, an unlettered African tribesmen. It was laughed off as extremely ridiculous. The cost, which was pegged at £5 million, was considered too expensive and earned the line so much resentment in the British Parliament and in the media. Henry, one of the British politicians and perhaps the line's harshest critic, in what is now a famous poem, christened the whole venture as an act of lunacy. Building railways in Africa can present tough challenges. The case of the lunatic line was exceptionally challenging. It was as if the spirits of the land had risen up in opposition to epic undertaking. Actual construction work began on the May 30th of 1896, but it was way more difficult than anyone might have anticipated. First, the mosquitoes struck, and having tasted the foreign blood, they were unrelenting as they deposited the malaria venom into the Indian workers and British engineers. Dysentery and smallpox too wreaked their own havoc on the railway workforce. The fact that there was no elaborate health system made it even worse. And as if diseases were not enough, the unpredictable terrain played a role in hindering the progress of the construction process on numerous occasions. Work had to stop as the British engineers plotted on the best approach to the numerous challenges that was posed by the unfriendly terrain. The Great Rift Valley was denouncing to the construction. It required great innovation on the part of the engineers in order to maneuver the power on the Mammoth Challenge. Resistance and hostility from the inhabitants of the localities. The line traversed was a constant roadblock throughout the construction period. The locals took great exception to the British engineers and the Indians and carried out disruptions in organized manner, which extensively slowed down the pace of construction. In expressing their distaste for the British engineers and Indians, the locals could vandalize the laid sections of the line, loot the construction materials, and also carry out direct attacks on the construction workers. To minimize this hostility, the British rulers entered into peace treaties with the locals. On the other hand, the Indians set up ducas and engaged in barter trades with the locals. These two initiatives softened the hard stance taken by locals to a great extent, and with time, locals were also engaged in construction as unskilled labor. By 1899, the construction reached Nairobi, which was then the habitat of the Maasai pastoralists. The Maasais are also part of the 42 tribes in Kenya. It was originally called Nairobi, meaning the place of cool waters, and was nothing more than an expensive swamp. The chief engineer then, George Whitehouse, proposed the site as the ideal resting place for the construction workers due to its high level elevation and temperate climate. A railway depot and camp were built from this humble beginning. The city under the sun was birthed. It grew rapidly to replace Mombasa as the capital of Kenya. The first ever image of the Nairobi depicts a railway estate with railway houses, offices, the station, and workshops. And despite all these challenges, Engineer George Whitehouse and his troop successfully rammed the railway line into East Africa's interior. Several shaky wooden trestle bridge, unpredictable terrain, hostile tribes, prohibitive coast, disease infections, man-eating lions, name them. All these back-breaking efforts, among other setbacks later, the construction of the line culminated at Kisumu, which was then Port Florence, in 1901. The feat had taken 200,000 rails, 200,000 fish plates, 400,000 fish hooks, 1.2 million sleepers, 4.8 million steel keys. On the downside, approximately 2,500 lives were lost. Without a doubt, it was one of the most denouncing engineering feats the world has ever witnessed. The line had such a profound effect on our country and is the greatest contributor to the fruits of the economic prosperity we enjoy today. It is this railway that has extensively epitomized the birth and growth of Kenya as a nation. In the wake of its path during construction, it gave birth to settlements, encouraged trade, and after completion of construction, development blueprints were planned along the lines, path leading to the establishment of the Northern Corridor, the region's trade route with the highest economic potential. Today, the revitalized Nairobi commuter railway service has really undergone major infrastructure changes which are aimed to integrate and expand different components with the aim of modernizing and upgrading the existing infrastructure. The main components of the upgrade has been, just to name a few, modernization of the existing stations, refurbishing of passenger coaches, rehabilitation of locomotives and other rolling stock, and planned rehabilitation of the entire network that is deployed under the commuter rail services. This has by far been cost effective to the common Kenyan, but also has greatly reduced the number of emissions due to the reduction in the number of vehicles that are stalled in the heavy Nairobi traffic. As if that is not enough, the government of Kenya is ambitious enough and they have started the construction of the Nairobi Railway City, designing the future for passengers. Now, this is an iconic multi-modal urban development situated within 425 acres between the Haile Selassie Avenue, Uhuru Highway, Landis Road, and Bunyala Road. Last year, the government released the master plan of the proposed Nairobi Railway City, and it seeks to expand and decongest the central business district. And I leave you the question: is Kenya the best when it comes to the rail systems? Thank you for watching this video. Remember to subscribe to our channel and let us know what you think in the comment section.